everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Christelle Wren, and I am the COO here at HRLocker. So I'm delighted to have Paul Norton with us today from Hubex. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to be talking today about the role that employee benefits plays, I suppose, in your company. So the role that it plays when you're attracting talent as well as retaining talent, and I suppose how it's changed in today's marketplace as well. So if we start really, and before I go into things, as always, I have Jenny with me today, and she she'll be monitoring the questions and answers section in the chat today. So if anybody has any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to to put a question in there. Myself and Paul will be delighted to answer your questions. I'm sure Paul will know more than me on the subject, so feel free I won't feel too offended if you direct the question at Paul instead of myself. So no pressure, Paul.
Yeah, no problem.
And the webinar will be recorded as well. So at the end of the webinar, you will get an email again from Jenny. She does all the work here with the link to the recorded webinar, as well as any slides as well, and some specific stuff from Paul as well in regards to the Hubex side of things. So I suppose one of the reasons why we kind of chose the subject in regards to the benefit side is we've seen there's obviously this huge skills shortage at the moment. People are finding it very difficult to attract talent and to retain talent. We're seeing, this huge shift in people in terms of the great resignation and people moving and changing jobs. And we are really seeing this, I suppose, shift towards that salary is no longer enough. Paul, I don't know, would you agree with that? And people are looking for a bespoke or individual packages. Is that the
Absolutely. Yeah, no, from our experience and from speaking with clients, it's not just the bottom line figure on the pay packet that is the key thing anymore. Employees or potential employees are looking for a more kind of holistic package, whether it's offering health insurance, dental, bike to work scheme, discounted gyms, all these type of things are important to people, just from either creating motivated employees, productive employees, creating kind of a social environment as well. And they're all, it's becoming more and more important and more talked about as well in the last number of years.
And I think as well, we have seen a lot of legislation changing over the last year in regards to even sick days or what's coming down the line in terms of being able to request flexible working, and being able, in terms of the auto enrollment for pension is coming down the line. So those things, employees are very smart, and they know that those things are no longer benefits, that they are now, required by companies to offer them, if that makes sense. Yeah, so you've got to be and I think, in terms of people who are in HR, when we're looking in terms of the actual benefits, I think there is certainly a marriage in terms of the actual strategic goal, the horizontal and vertical in terms of rewards or benefits, in terms of that from a company perspective, in terms of benefits. What a company wants to see is when you're offering benefits that it's actually affecting the bottom line. So you're reducing your sick day leave, that you're actually retaining talent, people are staying longer, things like that. But then if you look at the horizontal side of things, is that from a HR perspective, we want to make sure, say, the gym memberships and things like that people are healthy, they're fit, they're motivated, they're even the EAP programs or anything like that you are actually having a positive impact on people's mental health as well. So to try to marry the two, I think, is important when you're selecting benefits. Paul, I don't know, is that
very much so? Yeah, absolutely. Like from my own experience, I cycle into work when I'm in the office 3 days a week at the moment. So whenever I commute to work, I'm on the bike, and for the odd day that I would drive in, I would definitely notice a difference in my mood when I kind of get into the office, you know.
Road rage. Your road rage.
Oh yeah, well that's it. Yeah, it's just so much nicer just cycling in, and you kind of, you know, kind of hit the ground running. So yeah, like a lot of our clients would say that from when they promote the bike to work scheme, promote the discounted gym memberships and things, they do notice a reduction in sick days, and that they just kind of have more motivated and positive employees.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I definitely think that the stats would kind of back that up. So if we move on in terms of when we're the steps, I suppose, to implement an attractive benefit solution. And, you know, when I was doing some research in regards to the slides and what we were going to talk about, it was interesting to note that I think that kind of for the first time ever, we have 5 generations of employees. So in terms of when you're actually looking to implement your benefits package or your plan or your solution, whatever way you want to call it, you do need to take into account that you have an extreme diverse workforce, regardless if you have people in terms of different cultures or different backgrounds or things like that. Just by default, in terms of age, every company has a diverse workforce at this stage. So, you know, in terms of looking at your benefit solution, it is important that we're actually looking at towards that more, not bespoke as in for every single individual, but, you know, towards that more individualized package to ensure that people are being engaged. But when we start to look at implementing a benefits package, the key thing is, and myself and Paul, we discussed this to begin with, is it's not a one size fits all for everybody. You know, for sure, you know, you can look at that, you know, what's the best in class benefits package, but you're going to see some packages there that are unaffordable for companies and unrealistic for companies. So when you're looking at implementing your benefit package, you need to decide, will it suit your company? So what are the actual goals of it? So, you know, is the goal, and we spoke about in terms of the horizontal and vertical side of things, is as a company goal, is in terms of your benefits, is it to attract and retain talent, to increase productivity? Is that the ultimate goal? Or have you married that vertical side, that horizontal side of things, where you're also looking to increase you know, that mental health awareness, to look at putting those benefits in place in terms of your EAP programs and things like that, and how have you married the two? So really, I suppose when you're looking at that, we're implementing your benefits policy, you need to start step one with why are you doing it, and how is it going to, what are the goals for your company, and make sure you're recording that at step one. What do you actually want to achieve? So again, like what Paul was saying, in terms of putting in the bike to work scheme, you know, that reduces your sick leave days. So it's something you can measure. So it's really important, I think, when you're introducing anything, that there is that goal oriented plan to begin with, so you can come back to it to see, have you actually achieved what you set out to do? The next side of thing, and Paul, you can go into this more when we look in terms of the Hubex side of things, in terms of the bike to works and the tickets and the different benefits, in terms of what your actual budget is. You know, we've seen Lidl announced yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the day before, that they're giving a huge amount of paid time off to employees who are going through IVF treatments. That's a huge impact in terms of your actual overall budget. So even though that's maybe where all of us want to get to as a company, we have to think of it as something that we can actually afford. So calculate what your actual budget is. Even when Paul, we went through the bike to work with Yane, one of your guys with you, and I was thinking, my goodness, what if I have 100 people who are looking for bikes on day one? I can't afford to be paying €1,000 for bikes. But the truth of the matter, that's not actually going to happen, we hope. So, no. You know, exactly. So, you know, in terms of what your actual budget or budget allocation is going to be, and deciding what your employee contribution is. You know, for sure, we all want to start in the place where we give everything to employees and give it to them all. But maybe there does need to be some kind of that employee contribution, maybe in the Fit Hub or the gym membership side of things. You know, maybe you decide, okay, maybe at a senior level, we're going to be giving 100%, but everybody else getting 50%. And that's something you need to be able to go back into your plan and decide, how are you going to split your benefits? Is it going to be a very individual allowance, or is it going to be broken down into tiers and things like that? So, but I think as from a HR purpose, you need to start is what your actual budget is. And, I think it's important that when we're specifically as HR professionals that we're looking at that this budget is going to affect the bottom line. It is going to affect the bottom line because we're going to make employees more productive. We're going to cut down on sick leave days. We're going to cut down on your recruitment time as well, because you're offering a competitive benefits package. But then the next thing, and Paul, you're going to go through this, I'm not going to labor on this product. This section here is in regards to the different types of benefits. The list is endless. I actually recently did a podcast with Andrew Bartlow, and I think this is to go at the end of the week. Jenny, you can remind me of that podcast. But he was saying that, in terms of listing 30 benefits when you're applying for a job, that it's just noise, so be really careful in regards to the benefits that you are actually giving people. Make sure that they are diverse and that they're actually going towards attracting the people that you're looking to either hire or retain, or that there is a purpose to it. Like for example, we've taken on Hubex ourselves internally, and there is I don't know, Paul, would you call it like the discount platform? I don't know what you would call that in terms of the different
employee discounts and things.
Yeah. So, so there's probably 30 or 40 things there. We're not going to list every single one of those as a benefit.
Yeah.
Because the person's going to be like, wow, they're not, they're great add-ons. And I for sure think that people are going to benefit from them internally as our current employees. But, listing every single one of those things isn't going to be, it just becomes noisy for people. So I think in terms of when you're looking at the benefits that you have, make sure that you're using them appropriately. So if you're attracting senior talent, for example, maybe you want to be talking about your training benefits, or college benefits, or even flexible working in terms of your working from home benefits and things like that. So it does depend on what job you're looking to recruit for, but also retain. So even if it's maybe your graduate side of things, talk about your career path progression and things like that, and what supports you can offer. So I think when you're looking to recruit, to look at tailoring the different benefits that makes sense to those individuals. If it's going to be a younger demographic, maybe you need to be talking about, you might offer some CSR days, or some holiday discounts or things like that, where if you're looking at more of a senior level, perhaps you may be looking at maternity benefits or childcare benefits, things like that. So I suppose tailor the benefits that you have. I'm not sure in regards to, and this is a very sweeping statement, so I'm not sure in regards to graduate recruitment, does maternity benefits and childcare benefits, is that actually going to be something that is of value to a graduate who's coming in? So I think it's important that when you're putting the message out, to tailor the benefits. But maybe, and again, this is a very sweeping statement, I'm happy to have criticism on it, is that, maybe the Fit Hub in terms of the gym membership may be very attractive to somebody, the grads that are coming in. So, and we spoke about this, Paul, slightly before you came on as well, in terms of your the roadmap, and you're going to talk about this a bit more in regards to, so where do we start? The same with HRLocker, and I say this really when people come in and they look at our product as a SaaS product, and I can say, I can sell you everything today, and I can give you the Rolls Royce of HR system, but you're going to be implementing it for the next few months. So let's start in small stages. Let's start maybe with just putting the bikes and the tickets in place now, and we can move on. So I think sometimes people might get a bit overwhelmed in terms of, oh my goodness, how are we going to implement a whole benefits program in place? There's like 100 things to put in here. Whereas I think if we really look back on it, doesn't have to be something that you need to do all in a big bang approach. Paul, I don't know, would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, like it's very much a tailored process and a tailored package. So if somebody, as I said, it can be overwhelming in terms of the vast quantity of benefits that are available, and it can be expensive too. So like you touched on, Chriselle, like it very much comes down to, who do you want to attract, and your budget for this. There's a few no-brainers, that aren't going to cost you anything, and in fact, in the long run, save you money. There's a net saving involved, and that would be the bikes and the tax saver tickets. And then there's kind of maybe less expensive options like the Fit Hub platform. it's not a huge cost when you break it down per employee, and it's a simple thing to implement, and there's zero administration involved as well. So so there's like you said, it's very much a tailored package, things you can add on in time, and you can do as little or as much as you want from the outset.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's having everything presented and then picking and choosing what you want to offer your employees after that.
Yeah, and there's actually a question here, and I'm going to answer it before we move on. Is is a tailor-made benefit selection not discriminatory? So I actually just want to, I suppose, clarify what I was meaning with that. Is that, say, for example, paid maternity leave and paid childcare, that has to be made available to everybody if you're doing it. What I'm saying is, in terms of if you're actually advertising for employees, that just you can pick and choose what to show people to make attractive. So for sure, I would say that you can't, I don't think I would be going down the line of saying, well, if you're over 35, you get paid maternity leave, and if you're under 35, you don't. I don't think, I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that it might be more attractive to people over 35. So, when you are showcasing the jobs and things like that, those are things that I suppose you need to decide. It's for marketing purposes, really, to be honest. And I actually I have a slide towards the end in regards to how your benefits can really help your DE&I program. So just in regards to making sure that you are capturing everybody in regards to every demographic as well. So I think that's important. So last slide before I go over to you, Paul, in regards to evaluating success, and I think that this is really important. When we put in a program, it's really important that we review it afterwards to see, has it worked? And that's why I think the most important part is when you're putting a program in place, any program, is, well, what were the goals to begin with? So were the goals to decrease sick days? Were the goals to decrease unexplained absences? Were the goals to improve your ENPS score? So your Net Promoter Score. So those are things that you need to be able to measure. Like say within HRLocker, we would have one of the things in regards to when we put in the benefits program with yourselves is to be able to say, okay, well, we want our ENPS to improve from 65 to 80, and that's a huge ask for us, but that's what we were saying in regards to that's a measure for us. We also want to look at the I suppose improving the uptake in terms of actual training days and things like that, and improve the uptake of CSR days. So so we offer a CSR day as well. So they are our three goals when we started to implement a benefits package. So whatever they are in terms of internally, and I think that it's important because sometimes HR, we're kind of fighting for budget, that you can say, I think we do always have to kind of slip in there that that there is a cost saving in terms of, yes, I'm asking for budget, but there's a cost saving in terms of maybe recruitment or maybe retention or things like that you can actually show that. So I'm just going to go to the next one. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were next, Paul. I'm next. You've got to wait a little bit. So, I spoke a good bit, if anybody wants to listen to me for another half an hour in regards to a podcast I did with Andrew Bartlett in regards to the employee benefit, the employer value proposition, the EVP. It was really interesting to discuss with him in regards to, I suppose, your value proposition. So what does it consist of? So 5 points it should consist of is your compensation, your work-life balance, stability, location, and respect. So if an employee comes to work, what are you giving them? So what's the value that you're giving them? So you're giving them value around compensation, you're giving them value around work-life balance, you're giving value around stability, so that you're guaranteeing them a job. You're giving them value around the location, so whether it's working from home, whether it's working from the hub, whether it's location in regards to whether they're actually working, and respect. And that's your, I suppose, your DE&I, but it's also just your culture in your workplace as well. But in terms of, it's interesting to discuss with him in regards to where does your benefits and your employer value proposition, where do they meet, or who drives which. So do you get your benefits and create your EVP, or do you have your EVP and get your benefits out of that? It's kind of a bit of a chicken and egg scenario. But he was saying you need to start, I suppose, first with creating your EVP, and that is driven from it usually sits in HR, but it's got to be driven from the top down. And you know, as HR professionals, we always kind of, I suppose, struggle to get that top down investment in what we're doing, but it is important that we're not just creating this value proposition and that the company don't actually believe in it. So when we're looking at EAP programs or mental health issues or things like that, that it's not just a HR issue, that it may be managed through HR, but it's actually it's a company culture that the company are embracing, so that the benefits actually mean something. So then when we look at, you know, what is important, that you're maybe putting in an EAP program or putting in a mental health program or things like that, or putting in wellness days or yoga or whatever it is, because you want to make sure you're protecting people's mental health, is that, you know, it's taken seriously, and that it's not just a benefit you've thrown at them. I think we've really moved away from, Paul, and you agree that we've moved away from the millennial side of things, and I can claim to being a millennial, but moved away from the Google ball pits and scooters in the workplace. We've moved away from that to benefits that actually mean something, you know, that it's not just a beer and a Friday night. I think that that's important. So the next thing there really is, and this is what I spoke to in regards to, then if we look at that, a lot of the HR job is marketing at the moment. We are in a skills shortage. We're trying to attract the top talent. We're trying to retain top talent as well. And so there you need to look at tailoring your benefits to be able to decide, you have a huge diverse workforce, what benefits can you put in place to both attract and retain talent. You need to put on your marketing hat, maybe get marketing involved in terms of putting some fancy posters together or fancy artwork together in regards to attracting talent, putting in what benefits you have in there that look, because I suppose marry your EVP as well, to show that you actually have the employee's best interests at heart. Job seekers are now job shoppers, and I think I stole that from somewhere online. So if anybody sees it, I can put credit to whoever said that first, but that's the truth. We have job seekers now have a huge amount of choice, and like we spoke about earlier, is that it's not only salary anymore. That's just not enough. It's not a big brand that's enough anymore. It's about actually what your value is. What are you actually offering the person? And only add benefits that have value. For sure, we offer, I think, in that, you can correct me, Paul, in regards to the discount hub, there's 30% of hotels and let's get checked and things like that. But they're not things, they're great for our current employees, but they're not things we're going to advertise in terms of benefits, you know. So don't just fill up the page with benefits. This is your time, Paul. People are tired of hearing me. There's so many employee benefit options. You know, we have the 4-day work week, which is coming, flexible working week. We can manage those in terms of on HRLocker and side of things like that, if anybody wants to come talking about that. But in terms of the actual bike to work and subsidies and things like that, that's over to you. Do you want me to stay on this side, Paul, or do you want me to head to the bike to work one?
Yeah, maybe in 1 minute, yeah, we can flick over to the next slide. But yeah, like in terms, as Kristen said, there's a huge amount of benefits, and you want to be advertising the right ones. With Hubex, just to give you a brief history of where we came from, we started off in 2009 purely doing the bike to work scheme, you know, so that was our bread and butter. And then eventually over time, our clients have approached us asking, well, can you do this? Can you do this? And we've kind of added to our list of services over the past number of years, adding the tax saver tickets, adding the discounted gyms, to the point where we're at now is where we have a portal where you can basically have anything and everything. We have a few packages you can choose from where it's like a plug and play. It'll have your bikes, tickets, gyms, and a range of employee discounts. So I guess when you're advertising toward jobs and advertising to potential job seekers, you don't want to be listing each individual employee discounts, but maybe just call it an employee discount package. So on top of that then, we have a tailored package whereby you can add your own in-house or third-party benefits that you may already have, things like dental insurance, things like your health insurance, pensions, EAP schemes, or we can help you add those to your portal if you don't already have them. But, you know, as I said, from a starting point, you know, what can you offer current and future employees without costing too much money? That would be the bikes and the tickets straight off. So yeah, Christelle, if you want to just jump on to the next kind of couple of slides. So the bike to work scheme, many of you may already implement it within your company, but obviously it has a lot of health benefits straight off the bat. As you can see there, the benefit to the individual, but it also has a lot of other benefits in terms of your mental health and well-being, and all these will have a direct impact on the person's motivation in work and their productivity, and reduction in sick days and all of those things. So it's something that can be implemented very easily, and our platform helps you to manage the system, and it's all automated. So instead of dealing directly with bike shops, our system basically allows you to direct your employee to one link, one unique URL where they can choose from over 375 shops. It'll allow them to submit their application. You have your purchase agreement, which is like the contracts between the employer and the employee. That's all managed through the portal. And then once an employee submits their application, you can then manage their application, approve it. Invoices will be sent automatically. All these type of things. It's all very automated, all very slick and very user friendly. So if you want to jump onto the next slide there for me, Christelle.
Sure.
Thanks. So basically, you might be already familiar with some of this stuff anyway, but just to highlight it, the bike to work scheme, you can an employee can avail of up to anywhere from 1,250 to 1,500 euros, depending on if it's a regular bike or an e-bike. They can do it once every 4 years, and again, our system will manage all that. It'll lock the employee out from applying within another 4-year period. It'll only allow them to apply for up to those amounts depending on the bike they select. And the savings that are involved, you know, it'll very much depend on the employee's salary, how much they earn, how much tax they pay, personal tax credits they may have. So, but in general, somewhere between 31 and 52% is the savings. And so a bike that's 1,500 euros may only end up costing the employee 750.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, from a employer's point of view, you're paying less gross salary, so you recoup the full amount. But as well as that, you're paying less gross salary, so you're paying less employer's PRSI, and that can be up to 11%. So for every bike and ticket order, the employer is actually making a saving. So there's this is free to offer, but you're also making a net saving at the end of the day. So it's as I said, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. So if you want to move on to the next one, then there for me, sure. Christelle, this is the Travel Hub, Travel Hub branded portal. So we will have a few different standalone portals, like the Bike to Work. That's branded Bike to Work. That would just be purely for the bikes. We have then the Travel Hub portal, which incorporates both bikes and the tax saver travel tickets. And then, as I said, I'll talk about the Fit Hub and Benefit Hub portals as well. So the tax saver tickets is essentially, you can think of it as the same scheme as the Bike to Work scheme, It operates the same way. The only difference is the person is receiving a travel card instead of a bike. And then there's no upper limit on the amount that they can apply for. So if a ticket costs $2,000 or $3,000, whatever it is, that's the amount that is deducted from their gross salary, and the savings are the same, upwards of 52% if they're on the higher tax band. Again, the savings for the employer are the same. They're paying less gross salary than less PRSI contributions.
I have a question here for you.
Yeah, jump in.
Sorry, because I know the answer to this, but I'll let you answer. How are the range of benefits delivered to employees? Is there a common interface for employees to access and for employees to administer?
Yeah, so I guess obviously as a HRLocker client, you'll obviously have your HRLocker platform, and then depending on what you're offering, whether it's bikes only or bikes and tickets or bikes, tickets, gyms, and everything else, you will have a link or an interface on your HRLocker platform that will link you through to either one of our platforms, Bike to Work, Travel Hub, and so there will be a separate dashboard that you will be able to manage the orders and manage payroll reports, manage invoicing. All of that kind of stuff will be managed through our portal, but it'll be very much linked out from the HRLocker dashboard. And again, that will be the first port of call your employees will be going through the HRLocker dashboard to get to the Bike to Work or the Travel Hub, or any of the benefits that we offer, basically.
Yeah, and I think it's even just for ourselves is so I can log into your portal, see all the benefits that I have there, and we spent a bit of time with Jane, got that right earlier, to go through all the benefits that we have, and he was actually real helpful. Paul, we spoke about this earlier in regards to benefits that we didn't think were benefits, like we give a birthday day off and a wellness day off and CSR days off and things like that. So so we have a lovely, huge, nice dashboard full of all the benefits that we have in Hubex, and employees get their own login. But I suppose the key thing is that personally, I don't know about anybody else here, I have no idea how to administer the Bike to Work scheme or the tax saver scheme. So I just get a notification that somebody wants it, and then I authorize it, and then they go from the sunset and do whatever they need to do.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's it. From an HR point of view, it's kind of log in, click an approve button, and your job is done. It's then over to either the finance or accounts payable team to look after the invoicing and the setting up of the payroll deductions. And again, but our system assists with all that and sends out automated emails on a monthly basis for payroll reports and things like that. So you can use the payroll reports we provide as the kind of Bible to set up your deductions, or you can simply use them to reconcile what you've already set up, things like that. So there's a huge amount of functionality that we can tailor, and there's lots of different configurations on the back end, so we can kind of set up the scheme whatever way you want. So if it's a case that you only want to open it a certain time of the year, you can do that. If you want to basically manage employees' salary deductions in terms of how often they repay or the length of time that they're repaying the amount back, we can do all that. And that's all then filtered into both the employer or employee's purchase agreement, which we provide again, and then it's also filtered into the payroll report. So all of that data is all managed by our portal.
It's easy.
So just to touch on a couple of other things as well on the tickets. The tickets, obviously depending on your location and kind of what public transport is nearby. Some companies will be serviced quite well by public transport, others not so much. You might be out in the middle of nowhere with no direct links for public transport, so it may not be relevant to you. But if it is, it is a great thing to offer employees. When they're ordering an annual ticket, there's straight away 2 months free travel built into the price of the ticket. And then as recently as this month, the government have reduced the fares by 20%. And so a ticket, let's say the Lewis, I'm just going to use Dublin City as an example, an annual Lewis ticket that was €1,300 is now only 1,050, and that's before the tax saving. And then obviously with the working environment as it is, people still working from home and maybe only going to the office 1 or 2 days a week. We're there to take any queries from employees regarding, whether it's better value for them to just pay as they go, or is it better value to actually get the annual ticket. So we have all the information there that we can help employees out as well. So you can direct them to our customer service team for any of those type of things.
And I think that's the key when we're looking at implementing these things is I can't speak for anybody else, but I don't want to have, 20 people asking me every day, should they be buying, which ticket they should be buying, because I don't know. So it's nice to have you guys on hand to be able to say, you need to contact these people because I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We have a team in-house, basically answering the phones, answering emails. That's their job. They're the customer service team, and they'll have all the responses, ready to go. So there's a lot of common questions, a lot of common queries. The key one at the moment is, is it, I'm only traveling in 1 or 2 days a week. Is it better value? And we actually have a link. We've done a feasibility study, based on how much people earn, what ticket they're going for, and based on those criteria, we'll tell them, you need to be traveling in 1 day a week or 2 days a week or 3 days a week, to make it value for money, basically. So.
Okay, and we might actually share that with when the webinar goes out as well. It would be handy for people to send
that link. The link is going to be sure.
Super. Can I pop on to the next slide?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. So FitHub, again, this is another either standalone portal, or it can be incorporated into the Hubex Benefit Hub platform as well. So this is a very simple, straightforward, discounted gym and well-being platform. So basically, you've got different classes, yoga classes, gym memberships, either annual, 6 monthly memberships, things like that will have a corporate discount attached to it. So it's very easy to implement. It's not all that expensive, and there's no administration involved. So it would be a case of an employee goes to a HRLocker dashboard. There's a link out to the FitHub platform, and they simply register there and then browse the various offers. Once they find an offer they want to avail of, they simply print out the digital voucher and present that at the gym or the yoga class or whatever the case may be. So it's a very simple, easy thing to offer, and a nice add-on and benefit to advertise to either existing employees or trying to attract new employees.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a cool, straightforward one. So
I have another question here actually for you, Paul, is can the benefits choice for employees be driven by eligibility, for example, age, grade, salary, location, etc.?
It's a tricky one. You kind of get into that realm of you have to make benefits kind of open to everyone. But if I use an example of the bike to work scheme, and say some other clients of ours, what they might do is you may need to pass probation period. So you might need to be within the company for a certain period of time. before you can avail of the scheme. We have a number of clients, depending on their workforce, where they may even have two portals, one for, let's say, management and one for retail staff. So I'm just thinking of a big kind of retail chain. So whereby they have one portal purely for their management who are paid monthly, who are, there's less labor turnover. And then, there'll be certain settings and configurations on that portal where you have one for maybe weekly paid staff who you can limit the amount they apply for, limit the repayment schedule, and things like that. So there are different things you can do in order to, I guess, mitigate against things like that. But yeah, I guess once you're offering the bike to work scheme or the travel ticket scheme or FitHub, they need to be advertised to everyone. But as I said, there are different settings and things you can manage within each benefit. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. We do have some clients as well who have employees who are with the company for a certain period of time, and they have their either tickets or bikes paid for upfront, like everyone, but they don't have to repay them. And so again, they would be on a different level. And again, those type of things can be managed as well within the portal.
Okay. And I suppose that's in their contract as well, so they kind of know what they're getting. So there was a question here earlier, and it's kind of, I promise I didn't put it here on purpose, but it actually fits very well in with my next slide, is that thoughts on total reward statements as a part of the EDP and how can they be delivered. So I think in regards to, this is, I suppose, an area that I enjoy and think it's really important, is regards to how your benefits really can affect your DEI and your wellness in regards to your actual company. So, and that's where I think the total reward statement comes in regards to, I suppose, showing the company, so showing your employees specifically, but as well as talent that you're trying to attract. You're showing the world really that you are people-centered in terms of your benefits, and showing that, of course, you're strategic and all of that, but it is people-centered, so that you're recognizing that people, I suppose, are a key source of your sustained competitive advantage, for want of a better word. But if you're focusing on your people, you need to focus on the difference in terms of your DE&I, and focusing on the role that benefits play in that. I mean, we have a huge, with the last 2 years of people having flexible working and remote working and working from home, that has had a huge benefit to people who may have some disabilities. So that can be a huge benefit to having continuing to have a diverse workforce. If you have people who may have come from a disadvantaged background, and you're looking at training in regards to actually promoting from within, so people who have come in at a lower level grade in their jobs, that you have a training system that can bring people up who haven't had any formal background, so that's, if you're really, so in regards to your total reward statement, what I would say is that, and Paul, I don't know if you agree with this, is that in terms of your benefits, it doesn't mean that you get to pay less. Like, that's the key thing. It doesn't be just because you have benefits in terms of health insurance and dental, whatever, it doesn't mean that your salary gets decreased. So I think a lot of companies approach this wrong in regards to that. As some employees look at the benefits as with a little bit of cynicism, because they're thinking you're just implementing this benefits because you want to pay me less. So that's really important when you're putting out your total reward statement, that it's nothing to do with the fact that people don't get paid the going rate for their job. Their benefits is an added extra because you as a company are really focused on, I suppose, putting in a distinctive benefit package in place for the people that work for you as a company. And I think, and what I said to the beginning is that we are in a very unique situation at the moment, that we have so many different age demographics working for us, all who are completely different. We have women in the workforce who are having children later. We have men now who want to stay at home and help their children. So all of these benefits have to be put in place in regards to a changing demographic in your workplace, which I think companies who are forward-thinking need to start including them in their total rewards statement. It's really a very long-winded way of answering that question. So I do think that it needs to be included in your what is it in your total reward statement. I think you need to focus on what is the strategy in terms of your actual rewards. Why are you focusing on these benefits? I think it has to start with being people-centered first. I don't think that starting your total reward statement by saying it's because we want to save the company loads of money. I don't think that that's the right way to start. I think you need to start it by saying that we in this company know that people are the reason why we exist, and we want to protect the people that work for us. We see that it's our job as a company to make sure that we're protecting mental health, that we're giving an equal opportunity for in terms of gender and LGBTQ and everything, in terms of actually making it a safe work environment, and to give and to allow I suppose a diverse workforce. So for sure we can look at the but that's a very long-term goal. I think that is. So that's a very long-term goal. I think that your reward statement is something that can be ever-changing in terms of its evolutionary. It's a long-term strategy, and the benefits that we've spoken today about with Paul is regards to step one is putting in your bike to work, and they're really simple things. Like that, I had been asked for a couple of times for people about the bike to work, and I was like, oh gosh, I don't know how to do that. I just want to ignore that for the moment. And if you're putting in a system in place, it's just kind of easy just to manage that, and you can build it as you go. And it was really interesting to be able to sit down and go, well, why are we doing this? We also put in White Cam, which is this app I spoke about before in regards to doing joint yoga sessions and Pilates and cooking alongs and things like that. But you have to. One of the things I like, I suppose, with the bike to work and the tax saver tickets as well. I don't know, Paul, would you agree? Is that they get taken up really easily by people. People are able to adapt them quickly. It's not just a benefit that's put in. It
is. It's well, both from an employee's point of view, it's very easy to, the take up is quite good, and once we're there as well to help with promotions and things like that. So and it's very easy to implement from an employer's point of view. There's very little administration involved, and there are things that are essentially going to save the company money and save the employee money. So they're kind of, like I mentioned, they're sort of no-brainers to put in, and thereafter you can just start building upon that as kind of your basis, and include benefits that you may not automatically think that are benefits, but they are. I think you touched on that as well, Christelle. So to kind of look at everything as a total package, it's important to include everything. Yeah, I
for sure agree. So thank you so much, Paul, for coming on today. At the end, as always, we're going to have Paul's details will be, which I think is on the next slide. Paul's details will be in the slides that go out, also in the email. And we'll have, Jenny's put a couple of links in there in the questions and answers in regards to the podcast recently that we did as well. There's a download there on in a total rewards recognition. So they'll go on with that, and for anybody who's looking to either speak to somebody here in HRLocker in regards to putting benefits in place, in regards to just manage them in your own HRLocker, please come and speak to us. And then also I would recommend reaching out to Paul or anybody in the Hubex team in regards to starting that journey yourselves and putting in a benefits platform yourselves. I would say it's a nice, friendly, easy platform to use. So I would highly recommend it. But thank you everybody for coming, and hope to see you next month in our next webinar as well. So thank you, Paul, for taking the time.
Thank you, Christelle.